So it is 5 o'clock in a typical suburban Johannesburg suburb, and the noise level is unreal. Neighbors' babies are crying, cars are coming past, people walking their dogs, and of course then all the dogs in the neighborhood go mad. And despite the fact that I'm very happy with where I'm living, it's the noise level that sometimes gets to me. But living on a farm or a plot in South Africa is just not safe, especially for a single woman. Maybe one day we'll be able to move to the countryside in a safe place. So you can see that we haven't finished setting up the irrigation system here yet, so we're still spraying, which is not a great idea because obviously water evaporates, which is why we water late in the afternoon when the sun is just about gone, so that we don't get too much evaporation. As you can see, my onions are coming on really nicely. The beds have now been weeded. Beetroot's coming along nicely, and as you can see, my carrots are doing quite well. And then of course you've got the beetroot, the cabbages over here, and I'm getting wet. So over here we've got the cucumbers growing really nicely. Still no germination from any of the watermelons or anything like that. Don't know if it's cold or if it just takes longer than what I expected. So these are growing quite nicely. No beans over here yet, but my sweet peas are coming up very nice. All my sugar snap peas are coming up. Those are beans. So let's go take a look. Lemon trees coming on. Look at all those lovely buds coming out. Isn't that amazing? I'm so excited. I mean, I may get a few lemons and a few oranges and a few other fruits this year, which will be very exciting. Not much happening here. This is all spinach, and as you can see, it's now starting to germinate, and they'll come up and get bigger and stronger. None of the other seeds have germinated yet. Again, probably about another week or so. Sometimes they take a long time. The best time for me to wander around the garden is first thing in the morning, because it's really quiet then. And you don't realize just how noisy it is until you come outside. So that's a bit of a frustration. Anyway, the birds you can hear. This garden is looking quite good. There's quite a bit of work I need to do in it though. What I need to do is decide which of these beds I'm going to clean out and get a bit more strategic about, because initially we just planted haphazard to test things out. Now I need to be a bit more strategic about what I'm going to be doing. Chickens are very enthusiastic this morning, or this afternoon. One of the reasons for my level of frustration at the moment is I do have a full-time job, or when I say a job, I work for myself, which is, I'm extremely fortunate with that. But it's keeping me very busy, and as a result I'm not getting much time to get into the garden and do what I want to do. I got 3 eggs this morning. I have one hen that's laying over there somewhere sometimes, but they're still fairly young, so we're not consistently getting a lot of eggs from them every day, although I am getting 3 consistently now, but one's very small and they're making such a racket, and they're all starting to look a lot better. You can see this little one over here. Her face is quite puffy. She's getting better. So what I actually need to do is come in here and sit down with a pen and paper and a notebook and figure out what I'm going to plant where. Because as you can see, it's a bit of a hodgepodge. Like for instance, those turnips, I planted them in winter because that was a cold bed and was getting a lot of shade. I'm almost of the mind to actually yank them all out and probably transplant them at the back somewhere and turn that into more of a herb garden, because it is a coolish spot. So herbs that don't mind not getting a lot of sun I might put in there. I need to thin out some of those carrots over there. And as you can see, this new lot of broccoli is growing beautifully. Definitely a situation of the sun. They were getting more sun here than in the other spot. I'm letting these radishes flower so that I can get the seeds. And here you can see some of my curly lettuces, which I thinned out the other day, and now that I've thinned them out, they're growing magnificently. So this is a bed that I pulled out and cleaned up. Got a weed and put some more mulch in, and then decide what I'm going to plant. Here is my dill plant, which is booming in this soft. This is a very shady, cool area. So I'm going to be planting some more herbs in that here. These lettuces are almost ready to collect the seeds. And then over here I've got celery growing, which is doing very well in this particular spot. And I may even get some strawberries this year. Anyway, that's more of my sugar snap peas. Because I only like the coolish weather, I'm planting them sort of every couple of weeks or every month or so that I get a continuous crop, because I really do enjoy them. And as you can see, these ones are slowly dying off. So I think this weekend I might come and strip it down and then let the rest of the seed pods dry out so that I've got more seeds. Also, a lot of the planting was experimental. So stuff like mustard leaves, I'd never grown before, I'd never eaten before. I can't say that I'm wild about them. So I'm not sure that I'd plant them again. But I did love the spinach and the broccoli and the cabbage and the beetroot especially. And then baby spinach. I love baby spinach. And of course onions and garlic and that sort of thing. So this is a perpetual spinach, and it's amazing. It's one of those cut and go kind of spinach. It just keeps producing. And then this is a chard, which is really nice. And then these are a whole bunch of colored carrots, which I'm just going to let go to seed. So again, you know, I'm not that organized in terms of this garden, and I really need to probably sit down for an hour while I'm in the garden with a chair and a table and figure out what it is that I still want to plant and where am I going to plant it and where's the best place for it to be. Because my goal is to create as much of the stuff that I love to eat as possible, as well as create a small sort of mini market where I can sell some of it and give some of it away. And also things like this kale. So this is a kale that's very popular in South Africa. And both my staff, Suku and Richard, absolutely love this stuff. And Suku was saying to me yesterday that it's in very short supply. People can't get this type of kale. So she suggested that we maybe grow some more of it and she'll sell it for me, which is really cool. And it'll help her make a bit of extra money. So that'll be interesting to see. And then of course I want to grow a lot more leeks. I still haven't planted any on the other side, but as you can see there's some growing over there. You know, and they're so useful because they can stay in the ground over winter. They never go off in the ground. So whenever you need a leek, you just come to the garden and you yank one out. And if you don't have onions, you can use one of those. So those are my frustrations at the moment. I need to get a bit more organized and strategic about what I'm going to plant. So I'm hoping that having got most of my work done today, I can actually sit down tomorrow with a cup of tea and plan what I'm going to be planting. So we've obviously planted all the potatoes in there, so we're just waiting for them to start coming out. But the weather is warming up now, and we're certainly going into spring. You can see the evidence of that in the plants, particularly the fruit trees. Then hopefully one of these days we'll start seeing the potato plants peeping out. And this, of course, is using the Roost method of growing potatoes in straw. Anyway, so that's that at the moment. There's some more spinach, more dill, some of my onions that I planted that are getting quite big. So, and I think the big thing is, I suppose, what is my plan or my goal for the garden? I started it because I wanted a few fresh vegetables to eat. It was fun. It gave me something to do, and it also kept me fairly active because my job involves sitting at a desk all day. But with over the last year or so, and then of course with COVID-19 arriving, it kind of revamped my thinking a bit. And I've always wanted to live on a farm or live a homestead life. But of course that's not practical unless you've got lots and lots of money to go and buy land. But even then again, it's not safe in South Africa to go and live on a farm on your own. So what is the alternative? And of course I just turned my garden into a vegetable patch, and if I could do more I would. But the big thing for me is, what is it that I want to achieve with this garden now? And I definitely like the idea of doing a little mini market, sort of like a mini farmer's market on my front gate. If Richard can smoke his stuff at his front gate, there's no reason why I couldn't either. You know, and it was something I was very uncomfortable with in the beginning, with him putting his stuff outside. And he and his wife will sit there on a Saturday and talk to people, and they're very sociable. So it's very interesting, and I thought, okay, well, I could do that. And particularly with some of the hobbies that I created out of this whole thing. I mean, my pouring art, where I ended up making tons and tons of necklaces, the designs that I do for the digital planners and print planners. I started working on some printables like seed packets and, you know, pretty little envelopes and things like that. And I've got so much seed, I thought, well, you know what, you could set up a mini market for 2 hours on a Saturday, and you can sell your necklaces, you can sell some seed packets, you can sell seedlings, you can sell some fresh vegetables, and, you know, whatever else goes. So I'm seriously considering it. I think it could be a fun project, and also get me a little bit more sociable, because I tend to be a bit of an introvert. So I work at my PC all day, and the only interaction I have with people is on Skype or via Messenger on Facebook. And there's, apart from the fact that I've got all the kids in the house, there's not much active communication with people in real life. So maybe I'll do that, and maybe it'll do me good. I do know that the physical activity is definitely helping me. I put on a lot of weight during the whole of this last year and this year, and already I've now in the last 3 weeks lost 3 kgs, purely and simply just because I'm getting more active in the garden and doing more of the physical manual labor. So that's also a good thing, that's a plus sign. But being in the garden gives me peace, but at the moment it's a bit messy, and I suppose that's just the end of winter and everything's still waiting to come up, so we'll get there. And then I'll let you know how tomorrow's little strategy session goes. Thank you for watching.